Yeah, that's a hard act to follow. This is the month of freedom. And after, doing sermons for a lot of years, you try to come up with new ways of doing things or thinking about them or looking at them. And the thing that kept coming to mind that is so important in the days and times and trials that we're going through is choice. How we choose, how we use our freedom to choose, to determine what we want. I know my mom came through the Depression, and she said one time we were at a restaurant and she couldn't decide what she wanted to eat. She says there's too many choices. And there were pages after pages, and everything sounded good and the pictures looked good, and then she'd look at everybody's tables and she'd ask everybody what they were getting to eat, trying to narrow it down to something she'd be happy with and not want something somebody else had. But it was true. We have so many choices today. I don't remember this many just when I was a kid. But what do we do with that, and how do we do that to create our lives? We look at overseas and the choices that are being made in different countries. Some are choosing to go more towards the light, some more towards the dark. How do people who've never been able to really know they had a choice, if you've lived under a dictator and been told everything that you do, or you've been in a prison and everything's regimented, how do you find out that your mind has a choice and that you can see differently or think differently or have different perceptions? It's terribly difficult. How do we use our choices without even thinking about it? How are we programmed from childhood and what we're taught? The one that I see so often in therapy is being a victim. Being a victim at the mercy of someone, that someone has done something to you. Whether it's rape, or whether it's you've been robbed, or someone's been in your home, or someone's abused you in any way, or someone said terrible things about you. And so many times the victim can't see they had a choice. And the choice is up here. You always have a choice, no matter how bad the situation is. You could choose death. And it's a hard thing to grasp. But when you can get your mind around it, you can see how you now can become empowered. Think of what a victim is. A victim is always afraid. A victim, just think of, I've seen so many, I'll use women that have been raped, especially if it's done in their home. All of a sudden, there are all these locks on the door. You're checking windows. You're nervous at sounds. You'll see body language that is kind of turned in a protective stance. They no longer have given themselves freedom. You see, now they're living in a prison. They're not open and enjoying. They're not walking out the door and feeling happy. They're walking out the door and looking for something to jump on them. They're walking down the street and they're not enjoying the flowers or the smiles or any of that. They're looking at the men around them thinking, is this safe? Can I be around these people? Or on the bus, oh, look at that person getting on. The whole focus is on the victimhood is taken over. There's no joy left in life. But if you can flip that and think that I allowed that person to do it. I cooperated in the only way I knew how, which maybe was fighting or laying there or whatever it was. It doesn't matter how, you're flipping up here. If I can see that I allowed it to happen because I didn't want to die. I could have chosen death. I could have chosen disfiguration. I could have chosen whatever it was. Now I have power. Otherwise, that person owns me forever. And I'm always living in fear and I'm never free. So when we look at things that have happened, childhood, how our parents programmed us, well, I can be mom's puppet for the rest of my life, or I can see my responsibility in it. I was there. I can see it in different ways. I was there and I learned. What did I learn from it? What was the wisdom I got from it? What am I now because of what I went through? I can choose to see it differently instead of poor me, getting beat up all the time, or all the things that were done, or all the abuse. But after a while, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And where do you go then? You go to get your power back, and you do it by choice. I can choose to learn from that. I can choose to not see mom as a monster anymore. I can choose to see life better. I can choose to not do that to my kids. I can choose all these things that are empowering and positive and make the world a better place. Or I can choose to be a non-entity who never does anything because I'm so browbeaten and I'm so little. I can choose not to be able to help people. I can choose not to smile. I can choose not to care because they just don't know what's been done to me, how terrible it was. That is so imprisoning. That is so confining. Just look at my body language. And you see that. You see the way people sit. Are they open? Or every time they talk to somebody, are their arms like this? Are you like this? Are you twisted in? You'll see a lot of people. It's almost like a concave thing, the way they're sitting. Are you sitting back and relaxed? Because you now have control of your world. You're in charge of your world. You choose to be empowered. You choose to be in charge. You choose to create the world that you want. I almost want an amen then. But it's up to us. What are we going to choose? What do you choose when you get up in the morning? Stella chooses that wonderful saying she has about the way the day's going to be. Do you choose to get up and see it as a day full of potential? Or to choose to get up and see it as a day where you don't want to go out because you're so afraid and you don't want to see people, and all of these emotions going through you. In that split second of the choice, you've determined what your future is going to be. Because every second that we make a choice, we're determining our future. We're determining what our next minute's going to be, what our day's going to be, what our life's going to be. And there comes a point where, why bother? Why are we even here? If all we're going to do is choose to suffer, choose to carry it with us forever, choose to carry that garbage and that baggage and that burden with us wherever we go, that gets awfully heavy and awfully tiring. And you get so many body aches and headaches, and you get sick, and you get all these diseases. But you can choose, even in the middle of that, what we've created, to see it differently. In a hospital, what can you choose? You could choose to be friendly to the nurses. You could choose to be the patient that they enjoy seeing. You can choose to be the one that smiles and laughs and shows people how to deal with adversity. You can be a role model for going through that. You can make the journey different. You can make the journey more enjoyable. You know, yeah, there's this thing going on with me, but it's not me. It's not my whole life. You can choose to have music around you, and you can choose to have friends around you. You can choose to make the journey different, and that's so important. Are you happy with your journey? Are you happy the way it's going on? Or every day when you go out, do you pack up your baggage with all the garbage and all the trash that you never dump because you take it everywhere with you? In and out, all over. You've got to have a lot of ants with that. But what do you do with all of that stuff? I carried mine around for so many years. I was becoming it. You know, hair was falling out, my skin was peeling off, everything was dark. You know, I couldn't see the humor in anything. I started looking at stuff on the newspaper and everything, magazines, you know, the horrible things that were happening. I'd lost my focus on the light. And you can see how it impacts us. It makes a difference what we choose. And it's all about choice. I could have chosen to stay an alcoholic, but I didn't. I chose to get well. And I got to tell you, there were some times in the getting well and trying to get wholeness that it was like, oh God, if I could only go back, it was so much easier. All I had to do then was hide out and get drunk. I didn't have to monitor my thoughts. I didn't have to try to live what I believe. I didn't have to, you know, keep expanding and looking and working on me and how I treat people and what I am. All I had to do was lay in a dark room and get drunk. That was so much easier. But it was also very, very dark and very, very lonely and very, very dead. You choose death or you choose life. We're going to die. We know that. Whatever our beliefs is, at some point we leave this world. But what are we going to do while we're here? When I hit 50, the biggest scare I had was that I'd do another 50 that was as bad as the first 50. And boy, if that didn't straighten me out, nothing did, because I can't do that anymore. It was so horrendous when I look back on it. And I think, what if I could have done it earlier? I'm so enthused to see younger people getting help and getting their lives in order, because it's hell to wait until you get as old as I was when I started doing it. I would much rather have done it younger. If I could give people a gift, it would be to have an awakening, to have a knowing, to have something young, like in your teen years. So in the middle of that suffering, you can start seeing how to handle it. I wish we had more classes in school. How to handle relationships, how to handle our own emotions, our relationship with ourselves. Yeah. But we have to learn it out among all of us. So we help each other as we go through all these lessons. And I've got a sister who reminds me, okay, did you hear what you just said? Yeah, I know. But it felt good saying it. I had to say it. Let me say it. I'll go back, you know? She used to do this. She'd go, I'm Christy. Now I'm angry for a while. And she'd go, and then she'd go back. I'm Christy. And I like that. Because sometimes we have to let it out. The thing is that we don't let it out and out and out and out and out, so it becomes our life. You let it out, you get it out, you release it, then you go back to, yeah, I know all of that, but that's not the truth. Yeah, I know all of that. And you have this affirmative dialogue with yourself. Dude, I know all of that. I know that it doesn't look too good right now. But the truth is, when I look back on it, it's always been there when I needed it. I've always had everything I needed. I've always had friends. I've always had transportation. I've always had food. I've always had a life over me. So what am I whining about right now? Our church, when you stand up here at quarter till and nobody's here, you're going, oh God, I hope somebody shows up. John came in, we all jumped on him. But you know what? Everybody always shows up on time though, right? They're always here. So to think of those things, that it is always good enough. And to choose to go to there first. To get that new neural pathway in your brain so you default to the positive choice and not the negative. We can be a victim and we can be unhappy. Or we can be empowered and we can choose to be happy. We can choose to wake up and smile. We can choose to get out of bed and face the day no matter how much we creak. We can choose to enjoy the creaks and see it as rhythm. We can choose all of these things. Choose what we're going to wear. The day's feeling a little gray, choose something bright. Get into it. Choose what's going to support a healthy, loving life for you. Choose what's going to make the journey better. If I'm feeling bad, all I have to do is find Maggie. And some outfit she's got on, and I look at that and I'll see the high tops, you know, that are pink or whatever, and I get so into that. So you use the things around you. Let's come to church today. I come from North Fork by the lake, and all the ducks were not in the lake. They're up on there was like 20, 30 ducks there. They were just piled up in one of the turnouts. It was beautiful. I have no idea what they were doing up there. I didn't want them to get run over. But that moment was there for me to grasp and to choose to see and choose to enjoy and choose to carry that feeling with me. I can choose to be loved. I can choose to smile. I can choose to care. I can choose to make the world a better place because I'm making the world a better place for me. And if it's good for me, it's going to be good for everybody around me, because otherwise we wouldn't be attracting each other. We wouldn't be mirroring each other. I could choose to see everybody's failings, or I could choose to see the divine in them, to see the beauty in them and see the way they radiate and the glorious way that all the stories come together and all the lessons come together. It's a choice, people. Choose wisely because you're going to live it. Do you purposely choose to jump off a roof? To go out and stab yourself? You know, to get in an auto accident? No, but the choices that we live every day, we might as well have done one of those things because we choose to go in pain. We choose to be depressed. It's a choice. I can choose to make changes that make it better. I could choose to go to a doctor and get medication to help. I could choose meditation to help. I could choose all kinds of things to make a difference. And in the choosing, it's positive because I'm doing something. I'm working towards my wholeness. I'm reaching out and getting help. I'm not trying to do it by myself. I don't have to prove anything. We've all had broken moments. We've all had things that we have done that weren't nice. We've all said things that weren't nice. We've all fought